Muy buenas amigos ZonaKite. Desde aquí de Tarifa, hoy recibimos a uno de los más grandes en la modalidad de olas en el kitesurf, strapless por supuesto. Viene de Australia, es Keahi de Aboitiz. Tiene un historial y un palmarés impresionante. Nos va a contar muchas cosas sobre él, inclusive nos va a tirar un par de secretos para hacer mejores trucos en el mundo del kitesurf. Vamos a ir con él.
Kitesurfing is a sport that I've really grown to love over the years. Growing up surfing, I've always loved water sports, and when I found kitesurfing, it was great because it basically allowed you to make the most of conditions that aren't really good for anything else. When it's windy and the surf's blown out, you can go and kite, and no, it's something that I've just really come to love. It's a sport that I don't think I could live without, and it's the kind of sport that you can have a really bad day, you can feel down, and you can go out for a session and everything's better, and that's what I really love about kiting. I think my first experience kite surfing was actually at a pretty young age. My dad had a kite school when I was younger, and I remember playing around with a little 1 meter kite on a longboard. But I think my first real experience on a real kite was probably when I was about 11 years old. That was when I was a little bit heavier. I could actually hold down a little bit bigger of a kite, and no, it was really fun. I remember finally having like a proper kite. You could feel the pull, and from there it was a pretty amazing experience. I remember learning to kite and kind of progressing through those early steps, and it's really cool to kind of think about those early days and see how far I've come. I was actually really lucky growing up in a place like Noosa. We have some pretty good conditions, and I had a really good support group when I was younger. My parents were always really supportive of me getting into the sport. They'd drive me to the beach, take me to competitions, and I'm really thankful that they put in all that work and supported me through the early days. I had a couple pretty lucky breaks. I actually did a family trip over to Hawaii back in, I think, 2006, and what I didn't know at the time but found out later is Pete Cabrina is actually related to me. He's my third cousin, so we did a trip over there. He was nice enough to give me a couple older kites and put me in touch with the Australian rep, and from there we kind of just started slow, and I think it was a pretty good way in the way they brought me into the sport. He put me in touch with the Australian rep. They gave me a couple kites to begin with and a little bit of travel budget. They'd pay half my travel to go to events, and it was a slow process. I started doing events, I started doing better, and in the end I kind of just progressed and got more and more involved with Cabrina, and it was pretty amazing to have a brand like that in the early days that supported me in a way that they weren't saying, okay, here's all this stuff, but we're going to stick with you, we're going to try and bring you into the sport, and it was a slow process. But yeah, to have people like that and my parents and my friends' parents that really helped kind of push me in the right direction, it was amazing. I think it's really cool to see where kite surfing is right now. It's been a little interesting over the last few years. We have different tours and different things popping up, but I like the way it's going now, where we're having a combined strapless freestyle and wave riding tour. I think it's a great way to kind of open up the spots. You can go to a wave spot that may potentially not have the best waves on the day, but you can still go and have a competition, and I think this is a great way to be able to have more competitions and more places to do this. Personally, I really like trying to push the wave riding side, and I think there's still a lot of unexplored territory here to go. For me, I have a lot of fun actually trying to go and chase some of the big crazy slabs, and I think there's a lot of places out there that people don't realize you can actually kite. There's massive slabs, big barrels, and for me I think that's kind of an area that's still pretty unexplored and something that I really want to chase. I think my favorite place for a wave destination would have to be Indonesia. It's a place that I think I've been 5 or 6 years now in a row for kiting, and The cool thing about it is it's a place that, in a way, it's frustrating, but in a way it's good because you go there, there's actually no wind forecast and there's no way to know if it's for sure going to be windy. You kind of just have to go at the right time of year, and if you're lucky you'll get some of the best conditions for kiting anywhere in the world, and worst case you have really good surf. And I think that's one of my favourite things I've learnt is I like to go to a place where you have a backup option. You can go there for kiting, and being a surfer as well, if there's no wind you can surf, and if there's wind you can kite, and that's kind of something I've really come to love about Indonesia and that area, and it makes it definitely one of my favourite places to go anywhere in the world. For any young people trying to follow in my footsteps or trying to kind of get a foot in kite surfing, I think the biggest thing I found that helped me is try and find a friend or a group of friends on the same level and people that you can push yourself with. There's nothing more motivating than having a good friend that you have like a friendly rivalry against, because there's nothing more competitive than trying to beat your best friend. And I think I was lucky in the early days. I had a couple friends that were also really into kiting, and it really pushes you to want to try harder to bring that level up, and that's the biggest thing. And then the next step I'd say is start on a small level, try and do local competitions, try and go and get a feel for that competitive experience, but at a smaller level so you can bring yourself up to it. And for me, I think that's what really got me going. I had some good friends that kited. We had a lot of local events in Australia where you could go and hang out and be with similar people that wanted to ride and compete, and those are the kind of places where you notice your level will go up dramatically. You can actually go, and by the end of a trip you're like, wow, I learnt 2 or 3 new tricks and did this, and I think that's what really helped get me started in the beginning.